right, so when you're thinking about what your answer looks like, if it says to write an equation, we know that our final solution should be an equation, okay, in slope-intercept form. Okay, so if it's in slope-intercept form, you have to have y equals mx plus b. Okay, now it says that we're writing an equation that's parallel to the given line. So if it is parallel to the given line and passes through the given point, we know if it's parallel, they have to have the same slope. And what's really nice about these two is they both have these in y equals mx plus b form. So I just want you to put what the m is for each of them. Okay, and then I'll write the instructions down for you. So we're going to find slope. And then I'll help you with step 2. So I just want you to do the first step. So write down your m equals for both of them. So just tell me what your slope is for each one. Okay, and then, so for A, here's how we'll do for the slope for A. 2, yep, good. Okay, and then, yep, bring what's your slope for 2? 1/2, good. Okay, so let's remind people where the slope is just in case they don't know. I know most of you have it down. Yes, in front of the x. Awesome. Okay, so once you find your slope, now you're going to use your point slope form. Okay, so a lot of you did a nice job with this. Okay, and then we're going to use this point that we're going to label x1, y1. Okay, so if I'm labeling it x1, y1, do you guys remember what equation we're going to plug it into? Do you remember what this equation is called? Point slope form. Point slope form. Okay, so all we have to do now is plug in the slope and then plug in the point, and then we're going to simplify. So remember, when you plug it in, it's y minus, you're going to plug that value in, you're going to plug in m, and then it's x minus. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, and then Stacy, can you tell me what you plugged in here, please? Yep, so it's y minus 2. The m is 2. Okay, and then Gabe, what did you plug in here? Did you plug in 1 or negative 1? Okay, yep. And then once you guys do that, if you plug in a negative and you see this minus a negative, remember, if you have a double negative, that's when you change it to a positive. Okay, now what we're going to do, once you're going to use that point and plug it into the y1 minus y2, or the y minus y1, now we're going to simplify. Okay, so do you guys remember what that starts with? Yeah, distributing. Great. So 2 times x and then 2 times 1. This side's going to stay the same. And then I'll give you a moment to distribute. And while you're doing that, if you need a calculator, will you? All right, so if you do 2 times x, what's that going to be? 2x. And then what's 2 times 1? 2. And then it's positive, so you have that. And then all you have now is one more step, and that's to move over the negative 2. So how am I going to move that to the other side? Add 2. Great. Okay, so this would be your equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to have you do part B. So you already found the slope. Whatever your point is, that's what you're going to label x1, y1. I'm just going to write the equation out for you again. Oops, sorry. Okay, so then all I want you to do is plug that in. Okay, so we said that we're going to make sure that we're reading the directions. So example 2 again is writing an equation in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b form. But now you have to find one that's perpendicular to the given line. Okay? So if you're trying to find a slope that is perpendicular, and you know what the slope is of one of the lines, okay, the definition that's going to be easier for you to use in this case is the opposite reciprocal. Okay, so in this case, I want you to use, well, it's going to be simpler to use the opposite reciprocal because you don't want to just try to guess which one you'd have to multiply to get -1. Okay, so this is going to be the quicker way for you to solve this. Okay? So we're gonna start off in a very similar way that we did example 1. So what we're gonna do, okay, for number 1 is we are going to find the slope of the given line. Okay, find the slope of the given line. And they're only going to give you one line, okay? So I want you to write that.
I'd also suggest you write it as rise over run, because that's going to make it a little more obvious to you. So if you write it as a fraction, if you have a whole number, what goes in the denominator? The -4 over what? 1, right, paragraph. So if you see -4 over 1, that's going to help you identify that opposite reciprocal faster.
Okay, so Reagan, what'd you get for your slope for this? Yep. Okay, and then so if you're doing the opposite reciprocal, and the reason why I'm writing out these steps for you is so that when you're doing this on your own here in just a minute, okay, you can just read the directions and you can use that to help you. So first we're finding the slope of your given line, then we're going to find the opposite reciprocal, okay? So remember that opposite means positive to negative or negative to positive. So it is perfectly fine if you see the negative and you automatically put a plus to remind yourself that it's going to be positive. Now, the reciprocal, if there's a fraction, you guys are really good at flipping it. So what Miss Rooney was talking about is if you have a whole number here, you know the whole number goes over 1 when you're doing the rise over run. So if you put it over 1 here, that might be a little bit easier for you to flip. Okay, and then Avery, can you tell me what you get when you flip this fraction here? Yep. Okay, so your slope is going to be 1 over 4. Okay, so that's the slope of your line. Okay? Okay, so this is where you're going to use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay, so you're going to use your point slope form, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Okay, now your slope is this, 1/4. And remember, they're always going to give you a point, which is going to be your x1, y1. Okay, so go ahead and plug that in. Sometimes I think it's helpful to set it up like this, because you are plugging in these three values, and that can really help if you're struggling with the negative to positive, positive to negative. Okay, and then, Erica, what'd you plug in for y1 here? What'd you, -1, yep. Okay, and then when you guys see the double negative, is that something you change right away to plus? Or probably some of you are getting so good at it, once you see it's negative, you just put the plus in there. That's great. Awesome. Okay. And then when you plug in a positive number, it's going to stay as minus. All right. Now, when you distribute, this is a fraction, but it's the same process that we were doing before. So anytime you multiply, it's going to go in front of x, and then don't forget how to multiply fractions. So this is 1 divided by 4. You can always put it in your parentheses. And then another thing is if you see the minus in front, you're going to multiply by a -8. Okay, so I want you to do that in your calculator, and then I want you to put that here, and then there's just one more step. Okay, and then Stacy, let me know what you get from that calculation. Good. Okay, so if you have -2, put the -2. It'll always stay exactly with what that is. Okay, and then Jojo, what's our last step? And remember, whenever you're doing that last step, you're always going to line up those numbers together. And there you go. Okay, and then I'm going to start part B with you, because the slope for this one might be a little tricky. If you can't see the number in front, do you guys remember what it is? Yes, and so because you have the negative here, you have -1. Okay, so again, anytime it's not a fraction, you can just put it over 1, and then you have to find the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite means it's going to be positive. And then if you flip that, you just have 1 over 1. Do you guys know what 1 divided by 1 is? 1. Yeah. Okay, so when you go to step 3, you're going to use m is 1, 6 -5, Okay, and then go ahead and plug that in.